Once upon a time, the world lived in harmony. But everything changed when Emperor Nero, Claudius, Divi, Claudius, Filius, Caesar, Augustus, Germanicus, better known as Emperor Nero, was born. Because then everyone lived in even more harmony. I'm here today to run down the main facts of Emperor Nero's life and to give the top 3 moments of his reign as emperor. Born in 37 CE, Nero was the son of his totally innocent and super nice mother, Agrippina the Younger, who, in 49 CE, married her uncle, Emperor Claudius, who, at the time, was in power. She secured Nero's adoption by convincing Claudius, making Nero his eldest son, which was really good timing since Claudius was poisoned to death by a totally unknown attacker soon after, making Nero into emperor at age 16. The reasons why Agrippina was so determined to keep Nero as emperor was believed to be because she wanted to use him as a vessel so she could control Rome, since women were not allowed to be in charge back then, which we can see with local currency having both Nero and Agrippina on them, showing how she ruled from the shadows. But this relationship between mother and son became weary when Nero wanted to gain independence from her constant ruling and for her to act like a more traditional Roman mother when she wanted to rule. After a particularly bad argument, Nero decided that the only way to deal with her was to kill her. Okay, this brings us to our top 3 Emperor Nero moments. Nero attempted to kill his mother in several different ways. The first was to poison her, but she took daily antidotes so it had little effect on her health. The second was to rig her ceiling to collapse and crush her to death, but she was tipped off. The third attempt was to kill her with a collapsing boat, with her and some of her servants inside. This would have worked if, for one, Agrippina wasn't already well aware that her son wanted her dead. That 2, Agrippina didn't ask one of her servants to pretend to be her in front of Nero's guards who were also on the boat, which got that servant stabbed to death, proving that, she was going to be killed. And 3, that she couldn't just swim back to Rome, which she did very easily. Nero, after trying several times to use espionage, eventually just asked his guards to go into her chambers and stab her. In that moment, Agrippina asked his guards to stab her in her stomach, where she gave birth to Nero, which was very artsy-fartsy of her in her dying moments. This proves that Nero is truly kind, for he did not want to do the deed himself, but would rather let other people or the force of nature cause his mother's death. Coming in for highlight number 2, a few years later, Nero would kill his second wife, Poppaea Sabina. Poppaea, who was pregnant, was killed in a fit of rage after she complained about him being home late from the races, when he kicked her in the abdomen, killing her and the unborn child. Which made him really, really sad, so honestly we should probably just forgive him. Anyway, sometime later, Nero became infatuated with a slave called Sporus, who looked very similar to his late wife, who he loved so dearly. But here's the problem. Sporus was a dude. So, Nero then had to give him the good old snip, and then dressed him in the attire of an empress, and then married him publicly. There's also reports of him also forcing the guy to change his name to Poppaea. This truly goes to show that Nero is a loving and caring man, and he respects his wife so much that he just had to go for a second time, even after she tragically passed away. Finally, we have our third highlight. So, another few years later, after the fire of Rome, Nero, after definitely not being the reason the economy tanked when he started building a 120-foot bronze statue of himself, was finished going around a tour on Rome, where his impeccable acting and performing skills were put on display. And, of course we know he must have been a good actor, because all the reviews about him were really, really good. It's the strangest thing, because all the bad reviews about him like, the people who tried to say anything, for some reason, just, like, I guess they left the industry a little bit afterwards. I'm not too sure what happened. Anyway, it was at this point that people, for some reason, started to lose support of him and began to turn on him in rebellion. And faced with the looming threat of invasion, the Senate urged him to take action. Now, Nero, the wise man that he was, decided that the best way to stop the invasion was to convince the army through the power of song, saying himself, "I have only to appear and sing to have peace once more." So at this point, the Senate was fed up with him and decided to take actions for themselves by making him a public enemy and condemning him to death, which made Nero flee to his holiday home outside of Rome, eventually leading him to committing suicide in the same year in 68 CE. Even though it's such a tragic moment in history, this proves that Nero was nothing but a kind soul who merely wanted to spread peace across Rome through the power of music. Now, don't let the feds know about this one, but before we conclude, I have to let you know that Nero wasn't actually playing the fiddle during the fire of Rome, because he was in his holiday home. And, he tried really hard to stop it. If you actually look at the evidence behind, him being up there playing the fiddle, it all came from reports after he had been, dead and left. So it's a little bit suspicious, so feel free not to doubt him so much. To conclude, we need another Emperor Nero, for his kindness, love, and drive for peace truly inspires me. In all truth, we need a dictator like him again, but we need to remove the Senate and all forms of democracy, which will fix all the problems we had. I thank you.